What's up you guys, Sasha here, and in this video we're going to review one of the most controversial, one of the most interesting, one of the most ambitious, and certainly one of the most talked about fintechs out there, Revolut. Is it a way for converting currency? Is it some form of a current account? Is it some kind of an investment tool? What exactly is it? How do you use it? Is it any good? Let's go and find out by opening this envelope first and seeing what's inside. So inside this small rectangular envelope, you get a little Revolut square thing that pulls out like this. Cool. So your name is printed on the front of the card, and the card is not vertical, which is an interesting thing. I actually think it works better because if you pull it out of your wallet, the logo appears at the top, which is pretty useful. I actually think it's probably better design. The card number and the expiry and the CVV code are on the back, but they're small font and they're printed in a weird place on the back, sort of at the top with a mag stripe at the bottom. And I can see that they're trying to be a bit different, but you're going to run into exactly the same problems as the people who print them vertically like Moniz, which is the things that take a photo of your card and then process it for payments will not pick this up. So if you're buying something on Amazon and you want to add a new payment method, you will have to manually type this in. I get the cool factor, but it's actually something that makes the card worse rather than better. There's no instructions that come with the booklet. It just says designed in London and tells you that they have Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It doesn't tell you what they are. It doesn't tell you how to find them. It doesn't tell you what their hashtag or anything is. And it says get more. So I guess you have to go on the app. Now, after literally spending about 5 minutes of playing with the app, first impressions are not great. I mean, I can tell that the design team worked pretty hard. It does look very neat. But I've literally just come across a screen which says this screen is hidden to protect your personal information, and there is nothing I can do to actually access any of the rest of the app. I have to go and quit the app. So let's see if we can do this again. I just clicked on the card, and again, my screen is gone. So if you're going to get a Revolut account anytime soon, I'm hoping they fix this at some point in time. Don't do what I just did. So if you open your app like this, if you then go and click the card menu option, your whole app freezes and your phone freezes, and you have to quit the app in order to make it work. So don't hit the card icon at the bottom. That's not a good start, because I first thought that the way to activate it or to use it would be to hit the card icon. How do I activate this card? Or is it already activated? Now the first screen shows me my account, and I already have £20 on this. And the reason I already have £20 on this is during the application process, they force you to go and load a minimum amount of money onto your account. You don't really have a choice, you have to do it as part of the application process. I don't like it. I think this is a very sneaky thing to do. The only reason they want you to do it is to encourage you to spend, and so that if you are signing up for something that has fees, so that they can actually take fees out of your account. So I don't like that. There's a linked and there's a junior version of the account on there as well. And you can see that I've paid the £4.99 card delivery fee when I first got it. Now this is something that Revolut shares with one or two other fintechs, which is they charge you fees which I think they really shouldn't be. And I get that they're trying to make a commercially viable proposition here, but charging fees for sending you the card just after you've applied for the account seems like the wrong way to go about it. So other than seeing your transactions, there's nothing much else on this screen that you can do. You can hit this graph thing in the top right hand corner and it will show you more transaction data. You can see the notifications, and I've had a junior option added to my account since I applied, which I don't use, and there's a converter option over here as well. So the second menu option is the thing that gives you stocks, crypto trading, commodities, vaults. You can then send money instantly, and I was quite excited by this because payments are definitely a very important thing. And when I hit start over here, there's a whole load of different things that it tells you. No fee international transfers, so send money to friends instantly. It gives you a whole load of marketing spiel, and there's a button at the bottom that you have to click when you're ready. If you quit this, nothing happens. When you hit this button, it basically just says send money to your friends who also have a Revolut or to a bank account. So if I hit the bank account option, the screen is hidden to protect my personal information. This is not good. This is the second time this has happened. So don't do this either. Do not go into your app and try to send money to another bank account when you first get your card, because that will also break the app. I'm not having a good time here. So the moment I click on my account over here, it tells me that I can upgrade. And the problem here is this entire thing is just trying to sell me stuff, which I don't really like very much, because I'm not really here for marketing things. There's definitely a lot of features and a lot of options, but it's just, there's a button hovering over which says get premium for $6.99, and there's no way to quit it, which is not very good. Personal details, verify your email. So to verify your email, I hit that and I got the same screen. This screen is hidden to protect your personal information. This is not good. So the first feature on your account is the daily interest on your savings. So you can put money into a separate savings vault and get paid 0.8% return on the money that's sitting in that vault. Now, because this is not being paid on the money in your actual core account, I don't really see particularly value in there, because you can put that money into a bunch of other places where you get interest, where you'll earn considerably more. So this seems like a relatively poor benefit of having the product. But in order to use the vault, you have to have at least the premium account. So if you don't have the premium account, you can't go and even make use of this. So you have to pay the $6.99 a month or more in order to be able to make use of it, which seems like a really odd thing, but there we go. You can hit rewards and it says discover a whole new world of cashback and discounts from top brands carefully selected just for you. I'm guessing that's going to be in a different part of the account. It would be nice if when I click on this rewards thing, it doesn't just send me some marketing stuff, but just actually allows me to view the rewards that I can get. You can get Revolut Junior, which is a card for your child where they can use the card for buying stuff and getting cash out up to £40 per month. I guess that's a nice feature if you have kids and you want to give them a card. Another feature they've bundled in is commission-free stock trading. So you can go and buy one of 300 different US stocks from as little as $1. So you can buy fractional shares if you want, and the first 8 trades are commission-free. After that, you're paying £1 per trade. Now, £1 per trade is reasonably expensive, so I'm not a big fan of the fact that they're having a trade-based fee in there. I get that the first 8 trades are commission-free, which is a nice way to get people to use their platform and then get suckered in and then begin paying all these fees. But to me, a trading platform is fundamentally a very, very different thing to a bank account, and it is extremely difficult to make both work well. So we'll see whether their trading thing actually looks any good. Let's hit invest. Let's go stocks. Let's go get. So here they list the various different stocks, and if I hit, say, Tesla up here, I can see a few graphs and I can get started with trading. There's some news going on over here. You can set up an account and there's all the legal different stuff that you have to do in order to be able to do it. But again, I'm not convinced that this is a good and actual positive thing in the app. I think it just confuses the message. So if you're not into trading, this thing is always here. It takes up one of your slots at the bottom. For the vast majority of people, trading is probably not the right thing. For a lot of people, they probably don't want to see trading as part of their banking app. That's probably not a default feature or a useful feature to have. So the fact that there's commodities, the fact that there's crypto, I'm not a big fan of the fact that this is actually something that you're allowed to do. So if you read through the terms and conditions of the trading platform, there's quite a few things that I don't really particularly like. They're saying that they're an appointed representative of Sapir Partners LLP, which is the only place where they roughly tell you what's actually going to be happening with your money when it leaves the account. So they're not going to be your broker. They're going to send your orders to a third-party broker, and from then on, that third-party broker will not only manage them, but they'll also hold your shares on your behalf. But they make it extremely difficult to actually find out who you're going to be ultimately dealing with and exactly where your money is going to be sitting, which is actually incredibly important, especially if you want that FSCS protection. And if you're having different accounts with different people, you need to make sure that the broker they're using is not one you already have an account with if you already have a large amount of money with one. Buried deep in the terms is also a little clause which I wasn't a big fan of, which said that they charge you 0.01% of the total value of the shares that you hold as some form of an annual management fee, which I think should be slightly more clear. I get that it's not very big, and I get that that might be a good deal for people, but I think burying it right in the middle of the T's and C's is not the way to do it. So anyway, they only have 300 US based stocks. They have certain limitations of the app where not all the information that you might want is actually provided in here. Sure, they have some graphs and they have some basic averages, but you can't view any other type of graph here. You can view basic candlesticks, but they're not very, you can't zoom in. You have to go and click these different things over here. The design is pretty difficult to actually read. I'm not sure I would be really willing to go and use this for any kind of trading. There's definitely better platforms out there that are genuinely free or cheaper than what they are offering you over here. So I kind of get that it's nice to have it within the same app, but I actually think for the majority of people, this is not going to be an actually useful thing to have. Now, the one thing I really don't like about this app is whenever you hit a new screen, so let's say I'm on the payments menu, there's a big square thing that has picture and you have to click it, and then there's some kind of advert type rolling thing, and then you have to click a button saying get started, and only then can you actually use the functionality that really should be on the tab in the first place. I don't really see why you need to click the tab, then go and click this rolling advert thing, then go and click the button at the bottom of that doesn't appear immediately. I don't really understand what the functionality of this is. Why not just show this who to pay screen the moment you hit the payments bit? It would be so much neater and so much better for people, because you can immediately see exactly what you can actually do and what you can't do with this account. I think this is a gimmick that actually makes it considerably worse. So I'm looking at rewards. Again, it's giving me the whole advert thing, and you have to wait like a number of seconds, something like 5 seconds, before there's a button that appears that says get started. And only then can you see the various discounts that you can get. And for people who I guess like shopping for discounts, there's certainly something here. There's 3% cashback on shoes if I buy something from Clark's. But it kind of feels like a very cheap, gimmicky kind of thing, because if you're that interested in vouchers and discounts and finding unique discount codes and doing all of that stuff, there are plenty of things out there. There is things like Quidco and Top Cashback, there's lots of voucher sites, there's lots of other places you can go and find unique discounts and specific codes that are available today for one day only, whatever it is. I get that they're trying to sort of like get people to feel like this is a useful thing to save them money, but I'm not really getting it. I think, again, it's a gimmicky feature to have as part of your bank account. And for all of these, you have to go and enable this discount first, then go and use a Revolut card. So if you're out on the go and you're just about to go and buy something from Boots because you're walking past it in the train station, are you going to be getting your phone out and then going and selecting that Boots discount, or seeing if there is one today or not, then enabling it, then going to the shop and buying something? You probably won't. I mean, I won't. I think it's a gimmick where for some expensive purchases, like you're buying a TV and you want to get the very best price possible, you might go ahead and do that. But are you really going to be doing that when you're buying something from a hotel chocolat because you happen to be walking past it? You probably won't be. And that's the thing that really bothers me. And when I begin looking at these don't even cover in-store purchases. They only cover online purchases that tell you that you need to go to the actual website and buy something on there. So if I'm on the food section, there are 5 things in the trending section, and if I hit see all, there are 9 offers in total. So it's not like there's a great selection. It's not like there is tons and tons of offers on here. The other thing I don't like this is it's really, really specific. So it says that there's a bunch of T's and C's. Some products do not even apply the discount. So you have to know exactly which products do and don't, and who really is going to be reading that deep into the terms and conditions. And see, this is a problem because I'm in the UK, and for example, one of these offers is from a French website where prices are in euros and they deliver in France and everything is in French. I think they're trying too hard to link too many things, but they're not actually thinking this through. This is actually relatively pointless. I'm now outside the app on a web page. I don't really want that. So it took a few hours for these issues to resolve, and after that I could get back into the app. There's nothing I could do, and after looking online I found some messages of similar issues on their own forum, and people just said you should wait because some internal systems are preventing the app from working correctly. In some cases, not right now, but just for some people at some point in time. So I had to wait a few hours, and after a few hours it began working again. So here we are, we can go and continue reviewing it. You can buy commodities, so it says buy gold from just $1. Now you can go and select gold or silver, those are the 2 options there. It's not a regulated product. So if you do go and end up buying some gold or silver, just note that your relationship is with Revolut, and Revolut has a separate relationship with an unnamed third party where they actually go and buy the gold and silver and hold it on your behalf. But should anything happen with Revolut, who, just to remind you, is not a bank, you will not have much recourse there to actually go after the assets. This is not the same as you actually owning or holding the rights to any physical gold or silver. Just so you're aware, the same goes for crypto. They don't really make it very clear. And if you look at the stuff before you go and buy it, it looks like you're buying Bitcoin. but you are not. You are buying an electronic instrument that is sort of linked to the price of a Bitcoin and allows you to go and invest in Bitcoin if that's what you want to do, but you're not really buying Bitcoin. I would strongly urge anyone who is a beginner, anyone who doesn't know a lot about cryptocurrency, how it works, the volatility, or exactly why they're investing in it, to not do it. It is an incredibly volatile thing. It is an incredibly difficult to understand technologically thing, and if you don't understand it, you shouldn't invest in it. Now, there are 3 different pricing options for you, and let me just walk you through exactly what the differences are. There's a very convoluted menu, but basically you have standard, which is £0 a month, you have premium, which is $6.99 a month, and you have metal, which is $12.99 a month. Now, the metal comes with a, you guessed it, metal card, and that seems to be the biggest selling point. A lot of people talk about it. I don't really understand the attraction of having a metal card. It makes your wallet heavier. It is harder to get in and out of your wallet, and it probably will damage it more quickly than a plastic card will, but apparently it's cooler. It makes your friends think that you are some kind of wealth status symbol or something like that. I don't know. Now, there are 3 major reasons why you might want to go and pick the premium card. The first is insurance. So they offer you several different kinds of insurance products that are bundled into this. There's overseas medical insurance, there's delayed baggage and delayed flight insurance. Those last 2 are not quite as generous as you might think. It doesn't really say it on here. You have to go into the terms and conditions. You can get up to £320 if you lose your bags or your flight is delayed. So it's a relatively small perk given that you have to pay that fee every single month. The second big feature is the unlimited cross-border free transfers, and that is a really big thing. If you just have the free account, you only get 1 free transfer a month to send money abroad, and then you have to pay 50p each. So if you're getting this account in order to send money abroad, you might want to go and get the premium account, although you have to make a lot of transactions before that $6.99 fee is actually worth it. Even if you're doing 10 transfers a month, you're only going to be paying 9 lots of 50p, so £4.50, plus the 1 free one, so you're still going to be actually better off not paying because you'll still save money in the process. The other perk is the disposable virtual cards. A lot of people are jumping on this bandwagon. Monzo started doing it with their Plus account, Moniz are doing it, a bunch of other people are trying to offer you this as a feature. I don't really see the major benefit of why people really have to have it, but some people like it. Some people like to have different cards for different types of spending so that you don't have the main card where all your money sits as the card number you give to people when you're buying stuff. You can apportion different parts of your balance to different cards so that transactions for regular bills or whatever come off a different card than the main one. You don't get that with a free account, so if you want that functionality, you will have to pay. Some of the other perks in this list are really not worth talking about. If you're talking about cash, which is very high up in this list, the free account allows you to withdraw up to £200 a month without fees. The $6.99 account allows you to withdraw up to £400, and even the metal card still has a limit. It allows you up to £800 a month. Now, first of all, most people probably won't be hitting these because £200 a month is a reasonable amount, but the fact is, going from 200 to 400 seems like a very small step for what they call a premium account that attracts quite an expensive monthly fee. I'm not going to go through all the other features, but just check this one out. Free lounge passes for you and your friend if your flight is delayed by more than 1 hour. This is so specific. I'm not really sure how this works in practice. So you turn up to the airport, your flight is still on time when you turn up, so the first 2 or 3 hours that you're there, you don't get lounge access. But the moment it's delayed, maybe then you can go into the lounge, but how do you actually get that access? Do you have to go into your app? Do you have to call them up to get the special? It just seems like such a specific, such an odd benefit. I don't see anybody ever using it. The metal card costs $12.99 a month, and the thing is, it basically offers you no extra features over the premium account other than 2 things. One is the metal card, and the second thing is cashback. But cashback gives you 0.1% within Europe and 1% outside Europe, which is capped at the $12.99 a month fee. So you can actually earn more cashback than the amount of money you're paying in a fee. Now, 0.1% is pretty incredible because that means you have to spend like £13,000 in a month in order to get your fee back. I'm not really sure what the point of this is because you're paying $12.99 a month and you're going to get a few pennies back every single month as a perk for using the card to buy stuff. It just seems completely pointless. So if you really want to pay all that extra money in order to access the metal card, power to you, go and do it. The metal card still gives you exactly the same insurance, it gives you the same benefits with overseas stuff, it gives you the same ability to send money abroad, it gives you 1 free Swift transfer, the same as the premium account, it gives you the same access to the Revolut Junior, the same perks plus discount. Basically everything is the same except those two things. Now I applied for the Revolut card a few weeks ago, and when I did do it, I actually went and wrote down a few notes because there were some issues with the application that I really needed to raise. First, the address formatting had a number of issues. The fields had the wrong names on them. Now I have a reasonably average address. There's nothing really particularly different in it other than the fact that I have a house name and I don't have a house number, but I run into some issues and I had to actually play around to see what the form would eventually accept. Next, Revolut go and ask you how much money you want to spend. They don't ask you for other stuff. They don't try to convert you into a customer first. They immediately go and ask you, do you want to pay for the premium account or do you want to go and spend $4.99 to receive the card? There is no way to open an account without actually paying something if you want to receive the card. You have to pay for the premium account or you get the free account but you pay the one-off fee. I opted to pay the one-off fee because I didn't really need the pointless features in the premium account bundled on top. It then says that you have to load a minimum amount of money onto the card before you can proceed. This seems incredible. They haven't done any kind of identity checks on you. They haven't done any kind of anti-money laundering or any kind of fraud checks. They haven't even asked you for any kind of verification at this point, but they want you to load money onto the card. This is incredibly greedy. This is an incredibly poor customer journey. I actually think it's unbelievable that their legal department think that this is an okay way to treat your customers, to ask for money first and then verify them. What happens if they don't pass verification? You've already taken their money. You're basically in breach of various different forms of regulation. I think this is incredibly poor. And what happened then is I used a card that isn't linked to my home address to try to load the first £20 on. When you load money using a card, they actually ask you for the postcode of the card on the form, but if that postcode doesn't match your home postcode, it throws an error. And it doesn't tell you that this is the error. So there's a few little glitches like this where I actually had to find it the hard way by just changing the postcode and then the transaction went through to load that first £20. But why ask for the postcode if it doesn't accept anything other than your home postcode that you've already provided? At the same point, the CVV number for the card I'm loading the money from was asked for twice on 2 different fields. Again, it's just really basic stuff. They seem to be doing so much on so many different things that some of these really simple things, nobody has even gone and checked whether some of these mistakes are actually happening. They haven't really done sufficient user testing to iron this kind of stuff out. I had exactly the same issues as with pretty much every other challenger bank out there using Fido to verify my driving license. The same glare issues showed up and it took me a good few minutes for the driving license to actually be accepted. Then I got a really weird notice. So the moment I went through that, I then got told that the review would happen within a week. So the app told me that that's how long it would take them to actually come back to me to verify my account. Remember, they've already charged me the fee and they've already taken my money to load onto the card by this point. And then they're telling me it might take them up to a week to go and do the review. Now, it didn't actually take that long. It actually took a few minutes. It was under an hour. So I was reasonably pleased with that. But at this point, my app crashed twice. Now you might notice a pattern here. My app crashed when I began using the product as well. After applying, it became completely unresponsive. There was nothing I could do. I had to wait several days before the app would actually begin working again, but it didn't really matter because the card took that long to arrive in the post. It was the second slowest to arrive, only marginally quicker the bunk that came from someplace in Europe. I thought that was pretty poor. The fact that I actually applied and had to wait, I think it was 4 working days for the card to actually land on my doorstep, considerably slower than Monzo or Starling. I got a bunch of different emails and notifications. They kept telling me congratulations, welcome on board, 3 separate welcome emails. I really don't think any of that is necessary given that I haven't had the chance to actually receive the card and activate it yet. 1 would have been more than sufficient. Now we've got to the most important bit. As per usual, we'll look at the application, we'll look at using the card and the product features. So stick out to the end, that's when we're going to give it the absolute total, which will be the sum of all of those components. Now first, let's talk about the application. The application speed, I've given Revolut a 3 out of 10. I honestly thought they would do considerably better here, but there was massive issues with just basics like filling in the address and being able to actually match the right fields to the right parts of the address. They forced you to load money onto the card, so go through that entire process of linking a different card, typing all the numbers in, doing all of that as part of the application journey. I don't know why they want you to do that, other than they want to collect the money up front. They want to make sure that you pay the fee. They want to make sure that you sign up for the premium account, and that's why they're forcing you to load money as part of that journey. I really didn't like it. As part of the application journey, the app crashed more than once. I didn't really like the end-to-end process at all, and it was very slow. That's why it gets just a 3 out of 10. For simplicity, I've given it a 4 out of 10. Some of the similar themes apply from the speed over to simplicity. There's a bunch of completely unnecessary steps, including the stuff with the payment card, including asking the same question twice like with the CVV, including things like errors that crop up where they don't even tell you what the error is. You have to try to figure it out for yourself, like the card being registered to a different address. Onboarding gets a 3 out of 10. It was really slow. So the moment I actually went and completed the application, eventually, whenever I did do it, I got a bunch of notifications. I got notifications in the app. I got 3 separate emails that told me that it's great time to be onboarding with Revolut. The app was at this point unresponsive. I couldn't use it at all. I had to wait for the card to arrive, and given that it was sent from the UK and Revolut is UK based, it was very slow, much slower than the competition. I thought that was very weird because they're such a tech oriented firm, but it wasn't 1 day, it wasn't 2 days, it was 4 days. It took 4 days for the card to actually reach me. That is very slow. So unfortunately, and this is a massive surprise for me, Revolut scored just 10 out of 30 for the application part of this score. Now let's move on to using the card. The actual using the card itself scores an 8 out of 10. Now, although there was no real major issues, everything seemed to work absolutely fine with being able to do transactions and things like that. I didn't like the fact that early on I couldn't really use the card because of the app issues. And the back of the card, although it's not the vertical design that Maniz or some other people have, it's still printed in small font in the corner of the card, and the max stripe is on the bottom. And although nobody really uses the max stripe these days, I kind of think that is a mistake because it actually makes the card harder to use, and the small font means that you can't take a picture of it to make a payment, which again is just a massive oversight. The one really random thing I did like on this is the expiry date is actually set 5 years in advance, which is quite unusual. It is longer than any of the other Challenger Bank cards that I got. I don't know why I noticed it, because I look at just every single little detail, and that to me just jumped out. My card expires in May 2025. That is a long time. Now for making payments, I've given Revolut a 4 out of 10. That is really poor. It is very low. It probably could have been even lower. Now let me tell you why. There is absolutely no option to put cash or checks onto your Revolut card. You can't pay a fee like with some of the other ones. You can't go and do it through your third party. No, you have to just basically never have cash or checks. So if you ever come into having cash, or your auntie or grandma sends you a check for your birthday or anything like that, you can't use Revolut. So that means if they're trying to get people to use Revolut as their primary account, you can't possibly ever do that, because everyone at some point will have either cash or a check that they want to put into their current account, so you will always have to have a different current account as well as your Revolut one. Payments abroad and all of this stuff to do with foreign exchange is one of the primary reasons behind why Revolut exists today, and that is where they started, but they are forcing you to use one of the premium card services in order to access that part. So I didn't like that very much, because basically they're saying you have to begin paying fees in order to use this functionality, and I don't think that's a particularly good way of going about it. For the app and online account, I've given Revolut another 4 out of 10. Now the app does look okay, but the navigation is distinctly average. I don't like the fact that whenever you go to a new menu screen, there's a big square with a picture which you have to then click, and then when you've clicked it, there's some kind of rolling advert almost of the service that you're about to access, and you have to wait several seconds, like 5 seconds, before a button appears at the bottom. Only then can you click the button and go through to the screen that you actually did want to access. I don't really understand why the customers are forced to go through that. That seems like a really poor experience. Some of the things are relatively difficult to find. I did like the fact, and this is probably what saved it from being a lower score, the help option in the menu is more easily accessible than with pretty much every other Challenger Bank. So I did like that. In the top right hand corner there's a question mark and you can click it, and from that, although you have to go through the same rigmarole as with the others of going through the questions and the forums and all of that stuff, it was easier to find. So in terms of that, that was good. There's no web-based or platform-based way of accessing your account, which I do think is a big down. I don't really understand why nobody wants to do this other than one or two of these Challenger Banks, and that keeps the score low as well. well. The app froze and didn't work and got me the white screen of death multiple times during the review, before I did the review, during the application process. So there's massive technical issues and gremlins which I don't think should exist in a production version of an app, certainly not one that's been in any way tested. I didn't do anything unusual, I literally just followed the same standard steps as anybody else, and I got this. And judging by some of the comments in the forums and other places that I've gone on, this is a very frequent issue that happens to a lot of people, and not just now, not just this year, not just last year, for quite a long period of time. So there seems to be this ongoing issue with releasing products that just aren't quite as good as they should be. So when you top them up, that gives the usage portion of the score a 16 out of 30. So better than the application side, but not quite as good as I really honestly thought Revolut would be. Now let's get onto the last section, and there's a massive 40 points up for grabs, but Revolut doesn't start well. Customer service scores 3 out of 10. Now, help is very visible, as I mentioned. It is relatively easy to access, but your only option is to chat. First, they try to throw a bunch of different forums and blog posts and whatever it is, information at you. Lots of it not particularly relevant to what you're looking for. And if you find your way through that, eventually you get through to the bit where you can find an option to chat. But that bit is really disingenuous. There's a big button at the bottom of the bit where you can chat with somebody, where if you click it, you get taken to the previous screen. You actually have to scroll the upper bit slightly in order to find a much smaller link which you can click, and that takes you to the chat option. So they're really avoiding it at that stage. They don't avoid it up front, but they avoid it at that stage. And when you get through to the chat, you first have to speak to a robot. You don't have a choice. They think that they know what you're asking. They give you an answer. In my case, they gave me an answer which was not the one I was looking for. I asked the same question as I did with the other challenger banks. I asked them what exchange rate did they use if I pay with a card in a foreign currency abroad, and they gave me an answer which was about using interbank rates for exchanging currency, which is not the same thing. It's a different process using a completely different mechanism. When I did explain that to them, they actually went and gave me another incorrect answer. They told me that what will happen is the machine where I'm paying will convert it into pounds at whatever rate is applicable, which is not true unless you select pounds. If you pay, say, in euros at the machine, then Revolut will ultimately be deciding. Now, this whole process took quite a long time. I think it took about 20 minutes for the person to actually end up responding to my message, which is incredibly long in a chat environment. They make it sound like the person's online very quickly. They say that somebody will be with you very shortly, and after about 2 or 3 minutes, a person appeared, but that person didn't actually interact with me for a further 15 minutes or so. So it is not very good. There's no other option to communicate with them. They don't provide you with an option to call them. They don't provide you with an option to send them a message, which they reply by email or something like that. And that chat is your only recourse to help. On product features, I've given Revolut a 7 out of 10. It is certainly more usable and integrated in terms of the feature set than some. There is more there if you want it. Not everything will be wanted by everybody, but that is something that we've covered elsewhere. Now, there's savings, although it's not the best one. They do have savings, and it is well integrated in the app. They have trading options if you want them, other bonus features like shopping discounts, insurance, all of that kind of stuff. There's some kind of currency exchange options, sending money abroad. There's a lot of stuff in there, not all of it executed in the best possible way. Like, you have to upgrade to be able to use some of the functionality. There's fees associated with other functionality, and some of it is probably considerably more restricted than if you were using the same feature elsewhere. So for example, if you're buying the premium account in order to access the travel perks, you can get much better travel perks for much less money elsewhere. If you're going to be using the trading side of the app, well, it is significantly restricted. It is more expensive than other options like trading 212 or something else that you might use. For design, I've given them a relatively average 6 out of 10. The look and feel is good. I don't think it's particularly the best in the market. I don't think it's the worst. It's somewhere down the middle. I don't like the customer journeys that are already mentioned and the requirement to click through. The chat had a number of issues with just not being able to use it. If you click anywhere in the window, it tried to send you back to the forum. There was a bunch of just usability issues, and all of the previous stuff that I mentioned on just general app design still apply here to the design question. That's why it's a 6 out of 10. Features compared to other products, I've given this one an 8 out of 10. They actually do have a lot of features that other challenger banks either do not have or have a very limited version of. They don't really have a lending option within this, but everything else they do have, and they have a bit more. So the trading and various random features with discounts, accounts and with insurance policies and with this, and there's a lot of stuff bundled in there, a lot more than you would find with pretty much every other bank, but the individual features are not quite developed enough. So if they actually had a good version of each of these within the app, they might have scored a perfect 10 there. But just because they have a number of features, they can't go and score the full 10 because each individual feature is just not quite done as well as it really could be, so that's why it scores just an 8. The experience total therefore is a 24 out of 40, which means that the total score for Revolut is just 50 out of 100. Now this surprised me a huge amount. If it surprised you, please go and leave a comment and tell me what you think. Tell me if you disagree with some of the elements. Now, my score is maybe slightly different to other people's. I focus a lot on the customer journey from start to finish. I focus a lot on the usability, and if things just don't work like they should, that is a massive issue for my score. Some people will say that they'll battle through that, and if the features and the functionality offer them enough value, they don't really care about that. If that's you, please make sure you tell me in the comment below. If you like this review, if you found it useful, if you think it's going to help you with your decision as to whether you do or don't want to get Revolut, make sure you hit the like button. It is incredibly useful for the YouTube algorithm. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you want to see more reviews, if you want to see more videos about personal finance, about investing, about managing your money, about general personal finance topics, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and hit that bell so you get notifications. My videos come out on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you'll be notified about every single one of them whenever they do come out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.